Hey guys, and thanks for tuning in to my vlog series, The Nigga Chronicles. So, if you are tuning in for the first time this week, I need you to go on, press that back button, go on and watch the season premiere so you can get all caught up on how me and Vaughn met and where I left off. Now, continuing. So, I think the last little tidbit that I was talking about was when my baby daddy had called and said he couldn't give the money and all that crap, and so I had called Vaughn. I told him to go on up there and beat his ass. And then my baby daddy, in his usual nature, got scared and, called his mom. And then she called me. And then me and her had some words. And then she picked him up from work. So nobody's ass got beat. And I'm pretty sure I didn't get the money. So that's why he's on child support now. Anywho, so at that point, me and Vaughn were already really rocky. And he wasn't really answering any of my calls and texts like that. And one thing about Vaughn is he's a really bad breaker-upper. He doesn't know how to properly just call a bitch and be like, hey, it's not working out. It's not you, it's me. He doesn't know how to do that shit. He'll just stop talking to you. I guess that's just easier to do. But he doesn't understand that leaves the person with no closure. It's like you just left a bitch with the door completely open and I just have no clue how to get over it or what happened. And because we were constantly on and off, it's like I was just hurting and in wonderment and confusion until we got back on again. So this was kind of one of those times. Now, at this point, we had been messing with each other since we were 15. So I'm 19 now. So this is 4 years in the saga of us. So I remember that he was, one thing I liked about him is he was very supportive. So I remember that there was some little phase I wanted to be a stripper or something stupid like that, which that's not the job for me because I got so nervous. I didn't walk off the stage. I ran off that bitch, titties bouncing and everything, and left that little $3-4 the bitch had on stage. Okay, because they make you do it in the middle of the day. They make you come at 3 in the afternoon. So it's not a lot of people there, so you're not completely nervous and you don't know what you're doing. You don't need church or shit on the pole yet. And then, you perform. Anyway, I guess they saying, bitch, this ain't for you. You obviously was watching Players Club or something and thought you was a stripper. Okay, so anyway. So, I remember it was getting worse around that time. It was just damn, I didn't want to break up with him because he did tell me a few things that were going down at home, which for him was in Maryland. At the time I was in LA, so I was just maybe it's that, you know what I'm saying, let me give him his space, even though he already has 3,000 miles of it. Let me just give him more. I loved him. I would have gave him anything he wanted. So I remember also around that time, I don't know if this was a few weeks later or what, but shortly after that, because I actually lived in this building with women and children. Men couldn't go to your rooms, they could just visit. And there was some type of sickness breaking out in all the kids. And I remember that my kid had got a little fever or whatever. So I took her to the ER, not really thinking too much of it. Just oh, she has a fever. They're going to give her some Tylenol or something. So we get in there and it's one doctor, two doctors come, a nurse and nurse practitioner and the PA. And I'm well, what the fuck is going on? So they're oh. Now she was always very tiny for her size. So they're oh, her weight class has dropped below 3%. And we gotta give this and take blood and do that. And she was maybe 6 months. So they're poking her, they're prodding her. They took us in an ambulance onto this other children's hospital, and they got her hooked up to all these fucking tubes. And I'm all of 19 years old with a brand new baby, don't know what the fuck I'm doing, living in LA, fast life, you know what I mean? So I remember there was this smoking section. I was going in the smoke section, smoke blunts. I didn't know what to do. It was crazy. So all the while, of course, I'm trying to call my man, hey, this is what's going on. I don't know how to handle it. I don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Please call me, text me something. This is a serious situation. Nigga 911. I was doing everything that I could to try to get in touch with him, and I just couldn't. So at this point, I mean, I'm just in a complete depressed slump. I don't even know what to feel right now because they still didn't know what was wrong with her. So I think she was in the hospital about 3 days max. I don't think it was 4, maybe 2 nights in a day or something like that. And I remember when we were getting discharged, they had a little pass for a taxi, so I would have to pay for the taxi to go back home. And as I was packing all her little stuff up and just getting us ready to go, I get a call from a mutual friend of ours. Okay, him and her were really good friends. They're still friends to this day. And I talk to her every blue moon, like on Facebook or something, to ask her, how's everybody doing? And so she says, hey, I gotta tell you something. So I'm like, bitch, it better be some good news, because me and my baby just get discharged from the hospital and Vaughn ain't picking up and I don't know what's going on. And she was like, Vaughn is done. So I was like, done like he's dead? Or what you mean he's done? She was like, done with the relationship. Like, done with you. And I was just like, really? What the fuck did a bitch do this time? You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit hurt me to my core. It just seemed like he always broke up with me at the very worst times possible. It was almost like he was like, let me see when the bitch is going through her worst moment and then I'll do it. Like, I feel like that's what he did to me every motherfucking time throughout the years. And then for you to not, I couldn't even get a text from him. Texts are so unemotional and so, you know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to be broken up via text. But I would just respected him a little bit more had he at least broke up with me himself, even if it was just by his fingers doing this and not even a phone call or email or I don't know, a fucking handwritten letter. Okay, so I just couldn't believe it. I was in shock and I cried the whole way home in that cab. I cried the whole way home, just between the shit I was going through and in between that, it really hit me. So shit, that was when I was 19 and went through a really, really bad period after that. Like, I was like prostituting and oh god, it was really crazy. Like, I had like met this pimp in this chat room, because that was when those sidekicks, you flip them joints up and it got the whole keypad and you go in like all those chat rooms. That was when those were really big. And I was really green, you guys. Like, I didn't know anything about that lifestyle. Bitch hadn't seen Hustle and Flow yet. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And Sky was just like, you want to make a lot of money? And I was like, fuck it, I sure do. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck that. And he was like, oh, okay. And it all started in this weird chat room. Like, I would join this chat room. And this is a side note. I joined this chat room. And in the chat room, they would talk about women like dogs. I mean, like dog. Like, they would talk to you any way you wanted. And it was a private chat room. And any woman that stood up for herself, they would kick her out. So if a girl was like, you shouldn't treat women like that, you shouldn't talk to girls like that, boop, bitches, she's been kicked out the chat room. Even every blue moon I would get kicked out. And for some reason, I wanted to be a part of this room. I think my self-esteem was just, I think it was just done at that point. Like, I lost my nigga, damn near lost the baby. I think I was just at such a point where I just didn't give a fuck about anything, not even really myself. And I think I was just always searching for this love or this thing that I couldn't find, because I just really wasn't happy with myself and nobody else was going to give that to me. You know, it starts with you. And so, remember, I'm 19 and I'm living in LA, and before I was in motherfucking Upper Marlboro, my school was in a fucking cornfield, okay? I didn't know anything about anything. And my parents never taught me anything about anything concerning like shit like that, you know what I'm saying? And so I was like, fuck it, you know, I want to make some money, fuck it. And he's like, yeah, you know, you come and do this. And I'm like, well, I got a baby, like, who's gonna watch my baby? It's like, oh, my sister's an excellent sitter and she can watch the kids and she watches my kids. And I told one of my best friends about it at the time, and I remember she was like, don't sell your soul to the devil. And I didn't know what that meant at that point, and I did it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I met up with this guy, and it just, things went really bad. And things didn't go well that night. I just remember I was like making my money or whatever, and there was these other hoes in the car, and they were already really into this lifestyle, and I'm young and I'm pretty and I'm new, and you know, jealousy kicks in and all type of shit, and all this shit happened. And so that pimp was like scratched out the first night. So one of the girls was like, oh, there's this other pimp, and he's gonna hold us down as his hoes, and he's gonna treat us right, and this and that. And I'm like, okay, like, you know what's going on. I guess you know what's up. And so I fucking went with her and met this pimp who I can only describe to you as Debo out of Friday. Because every time this nigga came around, it was just like fear. And I mean pure fear. Like ran in your fucking veins. Like you didn't know what the fuck he was gonna do. Like, and there was times he did do some shit. You know what I'm saying? Shit that I just kind of like put in the back of my mind and lock it up. And it doesn't really come up too often unless maybe a smell or something on TV or something somebody says or how somebody looks. You know what I'm saying? Triggers it. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time that I got to tell y'all how like I really got involved in all that stuff. It was a short little period that I got involved in it, but it was pretty bad. But anyway, so I got into all that. Of course, I was fucked up once I got out of all that mess. You know, I went back to San Diego and I got some help and I went back to school and I got my own place and I just, you know what I'm saying, picked myself back up from where I left off. I was talking back to my mom, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just got back in a better place. So at some point, me and him started talking again. I know, right? So now I'm 21 and we started talking back again. And it started as friends, of course. He was with some bitch and I don't think I was with anybody, but of course he ended up breaking up with her. And I remember I asked him, like, why did you leave me the way that you did last time? He's like, I don't know, but I'm sorry, and I love you, and I want you back. And I was just like, well, I don't know either, but nigga, you hurt me, but I want you back too. You know how it be, like, you used to give these niggas a drop of a dime, right? Especially when you want them back and you kind of been, like, waiting for them. So we got back together, and I was happy, and he was helping me out. He was sending me money. You know, we were talking whenever we could. And he even came out to visit me, you know what I'm saying? And I was super ecstatic about that. And when he came out to visit me, that was the first time that, like, we ever made love or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though, you know, I told you we tried in high school, but it just didn't work out. So I was happy about that. That, you know, those are memories when he came out here. And, you know, I felt like it's a forever thing. Like, we're 21. What 21-year-old guy is going to save up money for plane tickets and get a hotel room and the rental car and fly out here just to spend some time with his girl? And I remember we were laying down and he told me, when I had, because I remember I kept asking, like, well, how long are you staying? You know, when are you going to go back? You know, I just wanted the details. And I remember it was kind of fishy on when he was going to fly back home. And I remember he told me, when I had got these tickets, I got a one-way ticket. So I was like, what? What you mean? Like, why'd you get a one-way ticket? And he was like, because I wasn't going to go back. And I was like, for real? He's like, yeah, you know, I can make a living out here, you know? And I don't know, I just felt like in that moment, like, damn, you know, like, this guy was willing to risk everything, like, leave his family behind, come and be with me, you know what I'm saying, like, take care of me and my baby, and we just build this family, build this life together. And I think I always looked at him a little slightly different after that. I mean, that was a big step. Like, that's just, you're just running off love. Like, I'm not fucking visiting this bitch. This is it. I'm coming out here. It's me and you against the world. Whatever we gotta go through, you know. And it made me feel good. Of course, it makes me feel good just thinking about it. You know, that he was willing to make that sacrifice for me. Because some niggas won't even sacrifice buying your ass a deluxe cheeseburger meal because they think they about to miss out on $7. Okay, because they think they finna get it for nothing. So anyway, we had a good time. He went back home. So now look, the plan was that I was going to come to Maryland to come and live with him. That was the plan even before he, you know, came out and visited or whatever. okay, cool. He had a really good job. He was making really good money to the point where I really didn't need to work. But I'm not really that type of person where I just want to sit at home and not work. It's not like I got 3, 4 kids and I can just do this whole housewife thing and I got shit to just do all day. And I remember that a little bit before I came out, like when it was getting time for me to come out to Maryland, he called me one day and he was just like, I don't think I'm ready for you to quite come out yet. And I'm like, I just blasted his ass, especially because he knew I was already like in a little situation. I had lost my place and renting this room with this chalupa bitch, and every other day she was bringing more and more motherfucking Mexicans up in there. No offense to any of my Mexican viewers, but y'all know how y'all roll. And I just couldn't do it because that's not the agreement that we had. You got your nigga living here, you got a whole fucking family living in the living room, and just all these people in this little apartment. He knew I was in a fucked up situation. And so, and we had already had these plans. And I went the fuck off on him. And, with him, a lot of times I was like a spoiled brat. Like, whatever I wanted, I got. He would give it to me at any cost necessary. He did whatever he needed to do to make me happy, even if I didn't go about it in the right way. And I realized that I was very immature when I was with him. I was really immature about stuff a lot of times, and I didn't know. Of course, I still didn't know how to treat no man at 21 shit, and I ain't never had no good example of how to treat one, I'll tell you that. And nobody ever taught me or told me. So I ended up coming out here. He had found a nice little apartment. Everything was in his name. He said we can get some stuff in my name, but it really didn't matter. Like, I was just happy that I was out here. And of course, my mom was upset at the whole thing. She didn't want it from the jump. I don't know if she just didn't want me to leave her in California, but me and her had actually stopped talking, per her choice, a little bit before I had came out here. So everything, I guess, was going pretty good in the beginning, but then there was like little things. Like, at first I wasn't working, and then I joined a temp agency. So obviously the nigga knew eventually I was going to work somewhere. And then I'm like, oh, they called me. And I remember I was sick, a little bit sick. I had a cold. It was like Friday. They called me. It was like, bitch, can you start Monday? This is a temp to hire at Hopkins. So I was like, hell, motherfucker, yeah. Take some syrup and get this little cold out the way. A bitch can start working here. And so he didn't like that. We got into an argument over me working. He like, you don't have to work. Da-da-da. I know I don't have to. Thank you for this option, but I'm all of 22 now. I want to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went to school. I got my little certificate. A bitch wants to use it now. Like, what did I do all this for but to sit at home? And I remember at the time we were trying to have a baby. And, but I had got one more shot before I left, and he wasn't happy about that. But I had already had a 2-year-old. I didn't want to just pop another one out yet. Like, we didn't know what the fuck was gonna end up happening. Yeah, I wanted to have his little babies, but I just didn't want to do it right then. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so like that was a problem. So then it was kind of hard for me to get pregnant. And then we started disagreeing on just a whole bunch of stuff. Now remember, we had never lived together before, so now we're about 7 years into the saga. Okay, started at 15, now we're 22. And there was just all this stuff. Oh, I don't want you to wear these leggings, and just little shit like that. And then there was like the drinking thing. I wanted to drink at the end of every week on Friday. I didn't see what was wrong with that. I mean, I wasn't getting to slosh, but I mean, a little E&J, a little Easy Jesus, I didn't see what was wrong with that. He felt like, well, I don't want to drink. Okay, then sit your ass down and get a cup of water or some Sprite. But it was just always something. Then it started getting physical. And it had never been like that with us. Like, he never put his hands on me. He would walk away and straight ignore me before he did anything like that. So then that became a thing. And it just started getting, it started with a little snatching me up here and there, and then slaps, it got physical. And so, I just didn't know what was going on. But even after all that, I still didn't want to be with anybody else. And then one time, and this was like the end of it, basically, I had found like some porn, and I was just mad, like, why you watching porn when you got me, you know what I'm saying? And I took the porn and I like scratched scratched it all up so he couldn't watch it anymore. And he was fucking pissed, right? And so he's like, well, why the fuck would you do that? Like, da da da. And we had just got into it over that, and I just felt like, well, nigga, because he had taught me how to cook. I didn't really know how to cook. Like, that nigga had a night job. He would get to work. I mean, he would get home around like 11, and I legit had dinner ready. Like, I would literally start cooking at 10 so that motherfucking dinner could be nice and warm and ready for him, like, when he walked in the door. I was on my little beginner Betty Crocker shit. Like, you know, during that time he had proposed to me. You know, I had a nice little diamond ring. You know, I was happy, but I wasn't quite living my dream the way that I thought it was going to be. But I didn't really care because I just wanted to be with him. Even if it was not healthy, even if it was toxic, even if it was being forced, I didn't care. I just wanted him in the picture because I felt like the good times were just so good, and fuck those bad times that we had. And nobody, you know, ever really understood me like him. I've never had a connection with anybody like I have, you know, with him. And so we had a really big blowout, and I remember he squared up on me, like, and it was just had this crazy look on his face. And I was like, damn, like, this nigga want to fight me? I mean, we know he'll beat the shit out of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I kind of knew a little piece of me was like, he's lost it. And then he's left in his car, skirted off. And the babysitter lived down the street. Me and her were like friends though too. So I like went to her like, girl, we got in a big fight. She's like, girl, it'll be okay. Da, da. So he had pretty much like broken up with me, but I felt like, oh, this can be resolved. You know, like we get into stuff. This was just bigger, but let me just try to do some shit, you know what I'm saying, like just to kind of, you know, smooth the situation over or whatever. So nothing that I was doing was helping. It did not seem like he was trying to bounce back from the situation. He just did that bullshit he always did. He became all distant, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on with him. And you know, he never wanted to talk. He wouldn't answer none of my texts or nothing like that. So then one day, you know, we had a conversation, and he was just like, look, like, it's over. Like, it's no coming back from this. And I'm just like, damn. You know what I mean? Like, I moved across the country for you. You know, I mean, thanks for visiting me for a week. But, nigga, I packed my bags up, and I did get a one-way ticket. Like, you talked the game. But, nigga, I actually played the game, okay, and went to the next level. So, and then, like, you know, I'm not even talking to my mom after that whole situation. So, I just kind of felt like I almost got played, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, got you here, bitch, and bye, you know, good luck. So, I was like, well, nigga, since I feel like I put in a little bit more work than you since I moved across the country, I'm not leaving this apartment. Like, you go ahead. Your parents are here. You can go stay with them. They don't give a fuck about me at the end of the day when it really come down to their son and this bitch he been on and off with for damn near a decade or whatever. So he ended up like just kind of basically agreeing, and we just kind of talked about who's gonna kind of keep what and all that bullshit. And I remember I asked him, like, well, what about Tom and Leah? Because him and my daughter had a great relationship. Like, they had a fantastic relationship. You know, she definitely loved him. I think he loved her. I mean, I thought he loved me, so I don't know. And I remember he was like, oh, she'll be all right. She'll get over it. Like, damn, you know, like, I tell you, when niggas are done, they don't care. Like, and he was the type of dude where he didn't give a fuck about leaving it bad, or he didn't give a fuck about trying to, you know what I'm saying, like, hey, let's just try to leave kind of like on a positive note. He was doing shit like leaving ex-girlfriends' phone numbers around the house, I think I want to say I had 2 rings at the time or something. But I know I took my jewelry off. I always took it off to get in the shower. And I took my engagement ring off. And they were gone. It was gone. And I asked him, I said, where's my ring? And he was like, oh, it's good. It's in a safe place. Where's that, your pockets? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would you take my ring? Like, you're on some fuck shit. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't ask for it back because it's very clear that you snatched that motherfucking ring when I was in the shower. Now, call me crazy or whatever, but I just feel like, nigga, if you bought the ring and put it on my finger, it's mine. Like, why be so petty? I mean, that was, you know, that was a nice little ring for someone our age, but let's be clear. You're not Kanye. I'm not Kim. You didn't spend $500,000 on that motherfucking ring. You could have let a bitch at least ride off in the sunset by her motherfucking self, depressed and sad and lonely with that ring. Okay? I don't know if I would have tossed it in the ocean like the other one. I probably would have kept that one for a rainy day. So, took my ring. I think I did have something, another piece of jewelry he gave me, but I want to say I ended up getting that one back or finding that one or something like that. But he was just doing like super petty shit and just treating me real shitty. Like, you would have thought he caught me like sucking 10 dicks or something, and that just wasn't the case. You know what I'm saying? There was some other shit that happened where like he had lost his job and wanted to take another job, and I was saying some dumb shit like, well, if you take the job, I'm gonna leave you. Nigga, if you was beating my ass and I wasn't gonna leave you, I don't think I would have left you if you took that job or whatever was going on. Okay? So, I'm like still trying to like do little shit to get him back. And I just, you know, I was just kind of losing it slowly but surely because I just didn't want it to end. Like, when I came out here to Maryland, it was in the fucking winter time in February. And we broke up in like September. Like, we didn't even make it to a holiday. We didn't even make it to fucking Thanksgiving, much less Christmas. So, I mean, after all that shit happened, I was like, well, we can, you know, like, as far as the rent, I'll just give you my half, and then you could pay your half. And I felt like that was fair. Because he was still there, but not really. Like, some nights he wouldn't be staying there. I didn't know where he was, but some nights he wouldn't be staying there. And one time I tried to go through his phone and see if he was like talking to another bitch, and he locked it. He never kept his phone locked. Ever. He never did that shit. So, to me, you're only doing that shit because you got something to hide and you're just being one step ahead of me. Like, oh, let me lock my phone in case this bitch try to go through and see what I'm doing, see how I'm shaking and moving, see what I'm saying. What am I saying to my friends? Am I talking to a bitch? You know how it is. So, I just remember that my coworker was like, do you think it's a good idea for you to give him the half a rent? I'm like, yeah. Like, I didn't know this nigga enough time. He's not going to take my money. Like, goddamn, at this point, I'm just back to being a single black mom. Like, I don't think he's just going to take my money and run with it. You know, like, we did it for 1 month. We did it for the second month. Like, you know, what the fuck? So, she was like, well, okay, bitch, shit. Bitch, I didn't think my husband would cheat on me with a ho-ho. But that shit did happen. So you can't, you know, don't just count him out because it sounds like some fucked up shit. Because when you're going through a breakup, people are only thinking about themselves. Especially a situation like that. And you have to remember, any other time we broke up, it was easier when I was not living with him or across the country. Because it was like, it's easy. I could just not talk to this bitch. Because, oh, look, I didn't miss the breakup in between when we had, he had broke up with me at some point in California and we got back together. And this time, oh, he broke up with me Christmas Eve. Didn't I tell y'all he breaks up with me on the first motherfucking time? So in high school, he broke up with a bitch a day before her birthday. Broke up with me when my baby was getting discharged from the hospital. Broke up with me on Christmas Eve. And then this time, I mean, well, nigga, before Thanksgiving. So as far as I'm concerned, you broke up with a bitch in the worst possible times that you motherfucking could. So, and I really think that he planned to plot that shit, and he's a Scorpio, and they have stingers, and they just leave you with that sting, and it's in their nature, and they all fucking do it, and my best friend did it to me, and that's a story for another motherfucking day that I'll tell you about that hoe. So anyway, so all that bullshit was going on. I didn't know what to do. I was like even doing this 40-day challenge where like every day you do something kind for your mate until you just slowly draw them back into your, you know, into the love. And that wasn't working. You know, everything I tried, he was just like, bitch, please. And so I remember one day, because I was trying to get everything transferred in my name, like, okay, well, you finna leave, right? You know what I'm saying? So I need to get the lease in my name. I need to get the BG&E in my name, because remember, everything was in his name. And so even when I would text him like, hey, what's going on with the BG&E? Like, let me get in my name. He wouldn't text me nothing back. Nothing. Like, why can't you talk to me about the BG&E? We're not talking about getting back together. We're talking about Baltimore Gas and Electric. I don't think that's something that you have to avoid. So one day at work, he texted me. He was like, we need to talk about something. Call me after work or whatever. So I was like, I just got a bad feeling. I'm like, something not right. Something not right. So I called him after work. Of course, he's not picking up. I'm calling, he's not picking up. So then he texts me. I'll never forget this shit. He said, bad news for you. The sheriff's coming tomorrow to evict you. So you might want to get all the things that you need. I'm sorry, what? The sheriff is coming. Why the fuck would the sheriff be coming when I've been giving you my half of the rent for 2 months? I ain't seen no motherfucking eviction notice on no door. I ain't seen nothing about no late rent. So what the fuck are you talking about? So I remember I was at the babysitter / friend house, and I'm telling her, and she's like, well, maybe just bluffing or da-da-da. And I'm like, no. I said, bitch, when he told me he had something to tell me, I got a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. And this is why. Do y'all motherfuckers know? The next day, and mind you, when I went home that night, like, he was getting home before me, and I guess he was taking the eviction notices off of the door so that I couldn't even have a chance to pay that rent. Mind you, I was working at Hopkins. I was getting paid like 14 something an hour, but with like the way I was doing all this overtime, my checks were almost $1,000. They were basically $1,000 after taxes. So I could afford this little $700 apartment that we had. So I packed some of my shit up. I'm crying. I don't know what the fuck to do. And I take off work the next day. Knock, knock, knock. The sheriff comes. I say, you know, this is all a surprise to me. I was living with somebody. They clearly fucked me in the ass with no Vaseline. Very raw. And can I see like some notices or something? Because then when I had got home, even like the old little eviction notices that we had, he took those. So I had no evidence of anything at all. So they showed me notices that we were getting. And he just vindictively just took them off the door. I'm just thinking he's paying the rent. And so the first month, I had gave him my half. He just paid my half. He didn't pay anything. The second month I gave him my half. Oh, he just took that boo-boo. He ain't put 100. He ain't put 50. He ain't put 25. He ain't put $1. He just took my money that I worked for. And I'm back to being a single mother. I could forgive. It's been a few little years since that happened. But that's not some shit that you can forget that a nigga did to you. Not a nigga that you've been fucking with for that long. Like, why would you do me dirty like that? And I know why. I know his excuse for doing me dirty like that, which is based on a fucking lie. And we're not even going to get into all them goodies. I'm not going to quite put him out there like that. But let's just say, boo-boo, you know the bitch that did you wrong like that. And it wasn't me. Because she did you wrong like that before. This time she just couldn't take it back. So it was just no excuse. But man. And then to top it all off, I got fired from my job on his birthday. Oh God. When I got fired from my job on his birthday after all that shit had happened to me, I felt like God had personally parted the heavens, looked down on a bitch, and just spit on her whole life and said, fuck you. I'm gonna just top it all off with this hoe. I know you're already thinking about him, but now I'm gonna get you fired on his birthday. How about that? How about that? Okay? So, oh God. That's all the time that we got for tonight. Shit. I'm sorry the video come out a little weird because I was having all type of weird technical difficulties and storage was running out and it was cutting the videos on and off and all this other bullshit. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. It makes me feel good. Every time I see one more view, 2 more views, you know what I'm saying? I love to share my story. A bitch loves to talk. So you guys have to tune in next week and see what happens then. Did I talk back to Vaughn? After all that bullshit? Left a bitch homeless in a motherfucker with a baby on her hip. Where did I go? What did I do? Who did I do? Anyway, thank you guys once again for tuning in to another episode of the Nigga Chronicles. I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate the love. Make sure you comment. Tune in next week.